Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy here today, and just want to drop a few thoughts, share very briefly today about the concept of addiction. And on this concept, there are varying school of thoughts on what addiction is or what causes addiction. In psychology, for example, they've defined the issue of addiction in so many ways. But one of the most recent concepts for addiction is that it's an illness. Now, when these words were being used several years ago, it was used more in relation to things to do with substance abuse and alcoholism and things of that sort. But these days, we do know that addictions could be in so many other kind of ways. We have people who are addicted to sex, people are addicted to certain kinds of cravings of food, all kinds of things that we can think about today people can be addicted to. But one of the things I kind of learned in my practice is that there's always a cause or a source for a lot of addictions that people have. Many times, it really starts off from childhood traumas or childhood issues that maybe people have been exposed to that made them susceptible to certain kinds of addictions. Sometimes it could be hereditary also, because through genes and DNA, people can, partake of certain kinds of propensities from their parents. Sometimes people are just experimenting. Especially in cases of things like alcohol, drugs, and sex, things like that, people are experimenting, get into the lifestyle of addiction. Sometimes people are not experimenting; it's just trying to be cool or fashionable. Things like that. People get themselves trapped. But really, what I just wanted to kind of highlight in this short discussion today, in line with addictions, is that many people do not know that they have some kind of an addiction or some kind of what I call it like a negative behavior that is cyclical. It's cyclical. It keeps coming back. And it doesn't necessarily have to be something that is evil. But many times these addictions are things that can hinder us or restrain us from becoming everything that we can become as humans. And many times they are cyclical. When you see a cycle of time and then certain behaviors continue to show themselves back up, it kind of should tell us a little bit about what we're talking about. Now, I propose an approach that is not just looking at it from the biological standpoint of genes or DNA or things like that. I also propose a spiritual aspect to addictions. Not just that, but until the three parts of man can really be fully put into comprehension and the approach of solutions for addictions being approached that way, we really can get to the bottom of really helping people or helping ourselves from being addicted to certain kind of things. Man is a spirit. He has a soul. He lives in a body. Now, each part of man introduces him into a different world or a different realm or a different paradigm. And each one of those aspects of man have to be investigated, found out, have to be learned, and have to be mastered for man to really be able to be free from addiction. Now, when I say mastered, I'm not saying that you get perfect, but I'm just trying to say that there has to be an intentional time spent on beginning to understand how the body works, the mind works, the spirit works. And like I've said in some of my earlier videos, man contacts different realms with these three parts of him: the spiritual realm, the physical realm, and the mental realm. And I'm saying that to really help with addiction, a very good understanding of, first of all, man, your tripartite nature is very important. The other thing is to also find out what your triggers are and what circumstances have led to those addictions, the source. Sometimes, like I said, it could be traumas, it could be childhood issues, it could be just from experimentation, it could be from just trying to be cool, whatever it is. But it's good to always know what the source is, to know your triggers, to know what makes those things happen, whether it's, being out of control, anger, whatever addictions they are. The other thing I wanted to kind of say is after you find, the triggers, the source, you've kind of dealt with yourself on the 3 dimensions. At the end of it all, what I found out is that behaviors need to be replaced. Now, if you have a negative kind of behavior that is detrimental to you, many times until that behavior is replaced with something else, you really don't get free from it. Now, it's not just replacing it, but replacing it with something that you feel as passionate, as fulfilled with, as much as that thing that was causing the situation or the addiction. I'll give an example. Somebody who is an alcoholic, for example, who really loves alcohol so much and has to guzzle down a whole bunch of bottles a day, or crates or cases of beer or whatever. If he's going to overcome that behavior, he has to find something in his life that will give him as much pleasure as the alcohol, that will also be positive and help him in fulfilling his passions or his desires or his life, to move and to change that direction and to change that behavior over. He will have to find something that will fulfill him and will not be detrimental to his lifestyle. And one of the things I found that is most helpful with all these things is a relationship with God, because what that does is there's a part of man that yearns for his creator. There's a part of man that is really spiritually deprived. There's almost like a hole in man because we are essentially spirits. And having that part of you filled, having that part of you, that's why people kind of today are experimenting with different kind of religions and things, just trying to fill that hole, fill that vacuum, fill that part of them that desires and that longs and craves for spirituality. But knowing the one and only true God and having that part be made whole is a really good place to start to deal with the issues of addictions. After that is done, then obviously we can begin to talk about replacing behaviors and replacing, certain kind of cravings with something else. And, I just wanted to kind of speak to this issue of addiction in a little way, just as I can. And in my life, it's really been helpful, first of all, the spirituality aspect, to really get to know God. Prayer is not just a means of communication. Prayer many times is therapy. It really is therapy. Things, negative emotions, things that you feel, things that can lead to depression, that can lead to mental breakdown, that can lead to all this kind of stuff, can be really refreshed and healed and transformed in a place of prayer. So that's therapy. Music is therapy. I'm talking about the kind of music that heals the soul. Music can be therapeutic. And I'm just saying that for addictions, these are some of the things we really need to begin to look into for us to live full lives and lives on purpose, life fulfilling the things that we would love in life. So I'm not going to make the video too long because I'm always cautious of time. But yeah, all I'm just trying to say today is that people who are addicted, first of all, please find out what the source is and begin to take steps in the direction of your recovery. Whatever it is, whether it's substance abuse, whether it's alcohol, whatever it is, begin to take steps to help you to get to a better place. Whatever the cravings, whatever the addictions are. It's your boy. You'll have a good day.